5 more minutes. Real time, 5 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you for your patience.
Hey, put up, Robert.
That's the end of the hour.
I want to work this thing up.
Hey, thank everybody for coming out to see Todd Rundgren reinventing himself as TRI. For those of you in the back that might not necessarily be able to see but would like to see more of the demonstration on the 2 screens, we have a screen set up by the counter back there, and
Sit down.
Yeah, why don't we sit down?
why don't you sit down? What teamwork? This is teamwork. You actually have good, nice fans. I like that. That's pretty cool. Without further ado, Todd Rundgren.
Thank you so much.
Oh, Mr. Cameraman.
Yeah.
Sit down, too.
Thanks a lot. I'm going to swap something in this player.
Yeah, really. That's it. Yeah, much better.
About 2.5 years ago or something like that, I got off of Warner Brothers. I recorded for them for about 19 years. And I thought, oh, what am I going to do with myself now?
Yeah, right.
And so I realized I had to do something sort of, music business, and changed a lot, because when I first got in the music business, if the music was good, people got excited. And nowadays, you have to like hitchhike naked or something before people listen to your record. So I realized I better, do something to kind of, bring myself up to date. And I thought, hey, computers, I've been messing with computers for about 15 years, and I've done a couple of programs, had a few programs out on the market, and I thought, well, why not break down that invisible barrier I've had between the stuff I've been doing with computers and music. Somebody get that?
It's for you. It's for you.
Yeah, that's right. And so I hit on this idea of interactive music. The difference between, let's say, an interactive version of the record and this version here. This would be the non-interactive version, the one that's sitting on the shelves right now.
When will the interactive be out?
The interactive one will be out in August, but we were doing some very new things, so it took a little while to sort of work out the bugs. The non-interactive one, of course, you put it in the player and it sounds the same every time you put it in, and that's what you'd expect, of course. The interactive one, the difference is that you could envision it as a CD that listens to you, and you can tell it what you want to hear, and it'll go out without any further help from you and find those particular things that you want. And what happened? Oh, okay. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that a lot of people talk about interactivity, and I guess most people don't know what it means. Interactivity is not a particular thing. Interactivity is a whole continuum of things. If you're sitting like a couch potato with a remote control unit and channel surfing, then you're interacting in a certain sense, aren't you? And then again, there are some people like, there may be some of them here, 14-year-old young men, to whom the world is not really interactive unless it's like Nintendo and you're jerking the joystick around constantly. So a truly interactive product has to support all of these things. It has to be able to support the low end of interactivity where you just want to lay there and veg out, and then the higher end of interactivity where you want to jack the joystick constantly. So this is not the right one.
Todd!
I see a little bit of it.
Oh, screw you. All right, so I got bad posture. What do you want?
I just noticed it here.
What do you want for a 45-year-old man? Where was I? Oh, yeah. So anyway, if you don't know anything about interactivity and you want to learn, well, you got to start from that lower end, of course, where you can be totally passive. So you don't really have to know anything special how to use this. You just stick it in the tray, and you hit play, and it'll do a little bit of thrashing around, load in some pictures and some computer software and stuff into the memory in the machine. and then it'll just start playing, I think. There we go.
Where was that
It's really loud. So anyway, if you don't learn how to do anything else besides stick it in the tray and start it up, you at least get what you get with the non-interactive version, which is it'll play the album just as if it was the non-interactive CD. But then you might be tempted to press a button, and then you'll notice that a control screen comes up here. Pretty. And the next thing you might learn how to do is control this first little, what we call flavor of the music, which is called the program. With the CDI version, you get not one CD, but 5 CDs to start from. This is just your starting place. I went out and got some friends of mine, Don Was and Jerry Harrison and Hal Wilner and Bob Clearmountain, to sort of do their versions of my record. Now this is not the same as mixing a record from scratch. A lot of people say, oh, does this mean mix your own record? Mixing a record is a job. People get paid for it. So you may think it'd be fun, you know, but when you start doing it, you realize you have to listen to the same song 10 times in a row before you have any idea what you're doing. It doesn't really work that way. But what I've done is I've gone out and got my producer friends to essentially use the same database of musical ideas that I use. In other words, on this disc there's about 1,000 little pieces of music, all about 4 bars long, more or less. And they represent the different sections of the songs, like verses and choruses and solo sections. And also for each one there may be anywhere from 3 to 5 different versions of the mix, various combinations of instruments and voices. And so I gave them that same pile of musical ideas that I use, and they did lists of their own that represent the record. So we can find out where, you can look at that, this as being like 5 CDs running simultaneously. And let's see where, let's say, Don Was's version might be right now. Get it done. All together some other place. Let's see what Jerry Harrison is up to. My man Bob.
Time stood still. Nobody knew but me and you. Nobody knew but me and you.
And Hal, which I guarantee is going to be someplace no one else has ever at. If you're familiar with Hal Wilner's work. So anyway, let's go back to my my script. Now, one of the things you can do with this is explore the music in ways that are kind of unconventional, or at least in terms of normal CD playing. Since we're moving through a script of events, verses and choruses of various themes, you know, and mixes of those various parts, we don't necessarily have to go through the list in a forward direction. We can go through the list backwards if we want. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention, but we're moving backwards up to the list. In other words, you could listen to the record from the end to the beginning if you got bored with listening to it one direction. Or, let's say, for instance, you're interested in a particular part of the music.
Come on, you guys, get it together.
So we'll go here and we'll put it on hold, and it's going to play the same part of the music over again. Check it out. So it's kind of like a record skipping, but it skips in a musical place. So you're saying, what's the point of this? Well, I'll show you the point of this. Let's go down here to mix. And what I'm going to do is cut down the slack. We have this thing called slack, which determines the range of your selection. In other words, when you select something from this list here, it doesn't have to be strictly that thing in the center of the list. It can be that thing and maybe one of the things on either side of it. And that way you add a certain amount of randomness in it so your album is never the same twice. So we're listening to what we would call a natural mix. Let's listen to a sparse mix. You'll notice that some of the instruments have gone out of the mix. You know, if you've ever wondered, oh, what exactly is he singing there? You have the option of thinning the mix out so you can find out. Or maybe you know exactly what I'm singing, and you'd like to get rid of it. So we have the ever-popular karaoke version of No World Order. Everybody sing now! What's that? Eventually, yes. You will be able to do it. Interesting question. I'll get to that after I finish the demonstration. Okay, let's reset this and I'll show you some of the other things you can do. The mood. Okay. This is sounds like a thoughtful song, I guess.
This is the light I stand and
I want something more thoughtful than that.
I'm always a mirror, singing the song.
In fact, I'm in a downright dark mood.
Something mysterious, something divine. Love isn't fun no more. Love isn't fun no more.
Can't get much darker than that. The thing I want to point out is that it's still playing the same piece of music. Essentially, it's still skipping over that piece of music. But when I said, well, change the mood, well, saying, well, this piece of music doesn't apply, I'm going to have to go out and find one that does. Or when I say that, for instance, let's go back here and I'll reset that, and then I'll go over here to tempo.
Oh, no kidding.
I'm going to cut the tempo down. You notice it's going back to the original one, but I want to dance like a demon, and so I'm going for the fastest tempo. So essentially, it's found me something to substitute that's faster than the piece of music I was listening to before. Because I said faster, and they said, well, I'll do my best to make it fast. Now, of course, there may be some circumstances in which you ask for something that's impossible, like I want a really fast, sad song. It's just, well, it's probably just going to play a fast song. You know, there doesn't have to be a fast, sad song there. Another interesting thing we can do here. Oops, we'll go back here and we'll probably start to hear our loop bit again. Okay. Now we can go through this list of events at various speeds, and right now I'm going to crank it up to really fast. It says very fast forward. In other words, it's like skipping maybe 100 events at a time, which means it's more or less jumping around at random. And if I play a little bit, you'll notice how random it is. So it sounds a little bit random. Maybe it's a little too random, you know. So we'll go over here to this thing called form. And I'm going to say it's too random. Can you get, if you'll pardon the expression, conservative? And try and make something out of this. Try and turn it into a song for me. What is now randomness, I want to sound more like a song. Let's see what it does. It'll take it a couple of times too to figure out where it is, but I'm confident It's still a little confused, I guess.
Hands off for his mind.
This is the part that always screws up anyway, so. I'm gonna try this again. Do this. Very fast forward. Let's get conservative now. Okay, it's doing it now.
Continued sending, now you're just hoping to oblivion.
And actually now it's decided to play a different song.
Wake up and face the animal in you, the frightened lizard that wants to win you, that wants the madness to continue, screwed into every sinew.
Okay, let's do just the opposite. Let's go into hold. In other words, we'll go back to our monotony mode. Let's see how it does with this. So in a case like this, you're saying to yourself, this is too monotonous. Could you be a little more creative? Okay, let's see what happens. Anyway, I'll go back to sort of a default mode so we don't go nuts listening to the same thing over again. If you get a setting that you like, you can go over here to the credits page, and you can save it into one of these like car radio buttons here. You hold down the button there for when it flashes, it'll save those settings. So you could have your party mode, you could have your dinner mode, you could have your meditative mode, you know, and recall them with a touch of a button. Then again, I think there's one or two other features here. If you get tired of looking at this editor screen, we have a number of video options. Like for instance, or you can have your own personal swarm of gnats. How's that? And this all has to do with this mode we call real-time mode. In other words, you can connect up the joystick and just connect the horizontal axis to the top set of buttons, and the vertical axis to the top set and the horizontal axis to the bottom set. And if we go into real-time mode here by pressing this button, then I can sort of control these without having to press the buttons. I can just jack the joystick around to my heart's content, and you can connect up any number of the various aspects of the performance to this. Also we have, for your edification, online context-sensitive help. Comes the mystery voice.
Waiting for angels to kiss me or kiss me.
This is the interactive music help system. Press action button 1 to exit.
It's kind of like Epcot Center.
Above is the flavor editor. The current flavor, Mix, allows you to limit the performance to a particular quality of musical density. The items in the list can be scrolled by moving the highlight over one of the pair of large controls just under the list and pressing action button 1.
So I think that's just about all the features. The basic concept here. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And then if we're going to do a little scribbling session, I should make it brief because we got a lot of people here. Yes, sir.
When you have all the Hal Wilner, Don Was, are those just re-sequences, or those are like completely different? I know what you're saying.
They're re-sequences in one sense, but also, as I say, there's 1,000 different musical bits in the database, and the non-interactive version has about 355 of them.
So is it like on the regular CD where you have like 3 versions of No World Order or different versions of Worldwide Epiphany? Is that somewhat of an indication?
That's some indication of what's possible, yeah, when I do different versions of the same song. But you will hear things in this disc and also in the versions that the other producers did that you won't hear on that because I can only get 53 minutes worth of music on there. And on this disc, there's close to 2.5 hours worth of music, but they're of sound. Yeah, right now we're dealing with what in the future will be considered primitive technology, so we're using a primitive approach, let's say, whereas all of the musical bits are essentially 4 bars, and there are some that are slightly longer and some that are shorter and some that are just like sound effects. But from a musical standpoint, just to make things simple for me, I did everything in 4-bar chunks.
How did you get so much music on one CD-ROM? You're saying it's like 4 or 2 hours or something?
Yes, the CDI has the CDI player has special chips in it that don't exist in a regular CD player that can do sound and picture compression on the fly. And we're using a system that compresses the sound down, but still retains pretty much CD quality.
Is it a 2-to-1 or a 4-to-1 ratio?
It's probably closer to 3-to-1, actually. First of all, it's a slightly lower sampling rate, for those of you who are into that. It starts at 37.8 sampling rate, and then essentially it's cut in half because they use what they call 80 PCM, which is delta compressed PCM sound. The end result, though, is pretty much indistinguishable from CD quality sound.
Huh.
Yes?
I'd like to know something about your association with Newtek, and when do we expect the next video to come out?
He's asking about my association with a video hardware manufacturer, and through that association I have a video production studio. We've been doing a lot of videos, especially computer pictures, and the cover of No World Order is actually some of the work that we've done there, but we do a lot of animation. Wants to know about videos. There is a video already completed. It's controversial to a certain degree, so we're not sure when or where it will be shown. It's called Fascist Christ. And you can see the problem. And, we're also, just as a matter of fact, this weekend finishing up second video, which is for Property.
Yeah.
And we hope that'll be on VH Running and TVN, something like that.
One more question.
Yes, one more. Okay. Oh, geez.
This technology is fantastic, and I don't want to detract from it at all, but I've always wanted to ask you one question. Go back in a couple of albums. Can you tell me what you meant when you wrote Hawking? When you were between the title, the meaning of the song, the spirituality of it?
Oh God, what is this? It's an essay question. It's an essay question. Okay. You gotta make it multiple choice.
No, okay.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. I think other people have questions about this, and you and I will talk about it. Yes.
We were talking about the layers and the events.
Yeah.
Are you talking like in programming language, or is it more like on an equalizer, certain frequencies that
Well, when I say things like events and layers and stuff, I'm trying to describe something that doesn't have a pre-existing common social format. You know, in other words, if I say songs, that doesn't really apply. You know, because a song is a particular form, like a verse, chorus, solo, bridge, blah, blah. You know the way a song goes. In this particular case, that's all gets deconstructed and reconstructed all the time, you know. So I talk more or less in terms of themes. You know, there may be a theme, but you may only hear 4 bars of a theme before you hear 4 bars of a different theme. And so we have to find new terminology to
create a standard? That's what I mean, you're going to create a standard.
Well, we hope to create a standard, yeah. I mean, one new term you better embed in your brain right now, suck it into your wetware. It's Slack. You're going to hear a lot about Slack here. Okay, these are the Slack buttons right here, okay? Slack. Give us some Slack, baby. That's 100% Slack. That's 0% Slack. Okay. Let's take one more question, and then we'll...
Those are essentially randomness filters that we're seeing right there. I mean, everything is still random. Is there any way to get a hold of the pieces for the user to actually get a hold of the pieces themselves?
As I pointed out, there are close to 1,000 musical pieces. You know. And this is not a computer. This is an interactive device. To show 1,000 of anything on this screen, you know, requires a very sort of deep, very thick interface, intimidating in some ways, I would say, you know, in order to get to all those things. We tried to find a method that didn't require any previous musical knowledge, any kind of understanding of engineering or programming or any of the underlying issues, some way that you can be just totally subjective about what you want. You know, I want it happy and fast, you know, something like that. Most people can understand what that means. As far as getting into song structures and verses and choruses and stuff like that. The answer is no, but it doesn't mean that such a thing couldn't exist or won't exist. In other words, they may be versions for more specialized, you know, hacker mentalities or whatever, you know, more engineering mentalities. If such a market seems viable.
Yes.
Okay, we gotta go. We gotta do a signing thing. We gotta start the signing thing because we gotta get to the airport at some point. And I'll, you know, try and ask questions if we don't hold up the line. Answer questions.
Where do you get those goofy glasses?
Okay, private audience.
Okay, this is what we're going to do. Please listen up very carefully. We're going to ask everybody to please very slowly go outside and form a line. Todd will be talking with everybody. We have to do this in a controlled way. Please slow down. And you will get one thing signed by Todd, and we'll have to move the line along